Good morning. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hello, my name is Lynn Ferguson. Christian Ferguson is my brother, my older brother.
Lynn, I want to direct your attention back to the years of 2001, 2002, and 2003, okay?
Okay.
Specifically, I want to talk to you about interactions you had with Christian during that time.
Okay.
Do you know somebody by the name of DeJuan Ferguson?
I do.
And who is that person to you?
I call him my sperm donor.
Okay. Do you see DeJuan Ferguson in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please point to him and describe what he is wearing?
I can't see that far, but it looks like he's wearing either a black or a dark navy blue kind of suit jacket and some kind of blue tie over a white shirt with glasses.
Your Honor, I would ask that the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, DeJuan Ferguson.
The record will so reflect.
Thank you. And Christian Ferguson was your brother, correct?
He is my brother, yes.
At some point, did you live on St. Vincent with DeJuan Ferguson and your brother Christian?
Yes.
And then at a later point, did you live on Sylvan Place with your brother Christian?
Yes.
When you lived at Sylvan Place, where was your bedroom?
Closest to the front door with a window that overlooked the front.
Did you share that room with anybody?
Yes.
Who?
Christian.
Who else had bedrooms on the first floor?
Everyone except, well, I'll say Tia and Deshonda.
Did they each have their own rooms?
Yes.
Okay. And then was there a bathroom on that first floor as well?
Yes.
And then did DeJuan and Monica live in the basement?
Yes.
What year were you born?
1994.
And when was Christian born, if you know?
1993.
Do you guys have birthdays that are close in time to each other?
Yes.
Okay. And what month would that be?
October.
So you were 1 year younger than Christian?
Almost.
Can you describe to the jury what Christian's physical appearance was like after he had suffered his coma in 2001?
For most of my memory, he was very, very thin, extremely, to the point at which you could see the notches in his spine. You could see his pelvic bones. You could see his bones basically through his skin. He was very skinny.
Do you remember a time in your childhood where you would be able to play with Christian?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
Would that have been before he had his coma in 2001?
Yes.
And describe what you and Christian would do or how you would play.
We watch Pinky and the Brain. We play Rugrats through the CD-ROM on the computer, or through the computer. Things like that.
Could Christian walk and move around?
Yeah, he's more active than me.
But all of that changed after January of 2001, correct?
I don't recall the date. I was so young.
Do you remember when Christian was in the hospital for a long period of time?
I do remember that happening.
Do you remember how long he was in the hospital?
No.
Would you describe it as a short amount of time or a long amount of time?
A long
Weeks,
amount of time.
months?
To a child, I guess it would seem as though it was months.
When Christian was in the home on Sylvan Place, where would he be all the time?
Tied up to the bed in our room.
And what do you mean by tied up to the bed? Can you describe that to the jury?
Yeah, there was a comforter that was usually tied around his torso, around his abdomen area, and it was tied with a knot behind the bars of the bunk bed that was at times split apart. So he could not get away from that bed or from that cross-legged position.
So at one point, did you guys have bunk beds then? Am I following along correctly?
Yes.
And then at some point, did they become two separate beds in the room?
Yes.
And at the time that Christian was reported missing by DeJuan, Were they separated?
At the time, at what time?
When Christian was reported missing by Dewan, were the beds separated?
Yes.
Now, you talked about how Christian would be tied up to the bed. Was there anything that you remember in your childhood during this time period where Christian would be left alone at the house?
Yes.
Can you describe that to the jury?
There was one situation, we left the house, and it was dark outside, and I remember all of the lights were out in the house. They were turned off. It's dark in the house, and I even remember asking, is Christian still in there? And we went to the Renaissance Hotel, which I called, I think, the Black Hotel back then. And I remember it vividly because we ate burnt burgers. Yeah, we were just supposed to be having fun while he was at the house, to my knowledge, strapped to the bed in the dark.
Were there any other adults that were left with him?
No, not that I know of.
At some point during this time period with Christian, there were nurses that would come and take care of him from time to time, correct?
Yes.
But in the evenings and over the weekends, there were no nurses in the
Objection
house.
leading.
Hold on a second. Yeah, sustained. Just restate your question, please.
Would nurses be in the house in the evenings?
I don't recall when the nurses would be there.
Would you have to feed Christian at times?
The only time I remember trying to feed him, I would say no. I would say no. The only time that I remember trying to feed him was the night of June 10th, June 11, 2003 or so.
Would you ever try to clean him up?
Yes, I had to.
And why would you have to?
Because no one else did it. We lived in squalor. I
And
begged him.
how was Christian's appearance when you felt like you had to clean him?
I mean, he was disheveled. He was usually wearing nothing but a diaper that was soiled, and I would do the best of my ability to change those. And at certain points, put clothes on him, but at other points, I guess I just figured that it wasn't even something that was necessary since he was in the same situation day in and day out.
And how old were you at this time?
I had to be like 7, 6, and then even 8 years old.
You mentioned earlier to the jury that you could see Christian's bones, essentially, correct?
Mm-hmm.
During the springtime leading into summer of 2003, did you notice a difference in Christian's physical appearance?
Again, time frames escape me because I was a child and I didn't really have a concept of time that I do now. But I remember for the majority of the time that he was mentally disabled to the extent that he was after the coma, that he just looked completely the same. I mean, just like horribly skinny. I remember even his face looked a little contorted, a little different than it used to be, you know. He almost looked like everything physically was changed about him because of what happened.
Lynn, I want to talk to you about the day of June 10th leading into the next morning of June 11th. Now, you were a child at that time, correct?
Yes,
And did you share a bedroom with Christian at that time?
yes.
Did Christian have a G button or a feeding tube?
He usually did.
On June 10th, during the day, was Christian's feeding tube in him?
No.
When did you notice it was missing?
When I first noticed him.
And tell the jury.
So this testimony from the sister of the victim, Christian Ferguson, killed allegedly by his own father. We're going to bring you back into court, bringing you right back in where we're leaving off here on Court TV. Welcome back to Court TV Live. We continue following the trial of a Missouri father, DeJuan Ferguson, accused of killing his own special needs son, Christian. Now, we have been hearing testimony from Lynn, the sister of the victim. Let's bring you back into court right where we left off with that emotional testimony.
And tell the jury about that.
I mean, I don't know where I came from that day. I don't know why it was the first time I was seeing him, because this is from so long ago, but I do remember vividly coming into the room and seeing him. There was dried blood next to where his G-tube was supposed to be. It's like a drop. And his G-tube was, of course, missing. And I looked around for it, couldn't find it, and desperately looking for it because my child mind thought that there was something wrong. And
Did you tell anyone?
Yes.
Who'd you tell?
Monica,
What, if anything, did Monica say?
that she already knew.
Let's talk about how Christian appeared on that day, the day that his G-tube was missing. Was there anything unusual about Christian's physical appearance or demeanor?
Yeah, he was moaning, he was groaning the entire day. Seemed that he was in immense pain.
Was there anything unusual about his eyes?
Honestly, don't recall.
This moaning, this groaning, what you described as immense pain, did that continue from the day leading into the night?
Yes.
And in the middle of the night, were you in the same bedroom as Christian Ferguson?
Yes.
Did anyone come into your room that night?
Yes.
Can you please tell the jury about that?
DeJuan came in with Monica, took Christian into the other room, which was known as the TV room. And you could only see a sliver of that from my room. I don't think they knew that I was awake. And seemed that a struggle ensued. I heard,
Now, you could not see into the room, correct?
yes, that's correct.
So can you describe what you heard that makes you think that it was some sort of a struggle?
Well, his moaning and groaning got more intense, it seemed. And then all of a sudden it stopped after some kind of struggle. I don't know what those noises were exactly, but it seemed like a struggle of some kind. And then it just stopped.
And then what happened after the moaning stopped?
I feel like I heard a whimper from Monica. And then later on, I don't know how much later, he was brought back into the room. Monica, I remember, was standing in the doorway, kind of crying, looking at him. And he didn't seem like he was doing it. He clearly wasn't doing anything he was doing before. If I look back on that memory, it seems that he was gone at that point, no longer living. But because I couldn't hear him breathing, I couldn't see him moving. He wasn't moaning and groaning anymore. But as a child, I don't think I really understood that.
At any point after DeJuan put Christian back in that bed, did anyone enter the room again that night?
Yes.
Who?
I know DeJuan came in and took Christian and a comforter and took Christian out to the car.
Was it dark outside?
It was still dark.
Did you ever see your brother Christian again after that?
No.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Thank you, Judge. Can I just do this real quick?
You may, yes.
Good morning. So, Lynn, the last time you actually spoke with DeJuan, you were about 11 or 12, is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. And you have no relationship with DeJuan?
That's correct.
And at the age of 14, you went into foster care?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance. May we approach?
You may.
Okay, want to bring in now former prosecutor and trial attorney Vonda Sargent joining us. Incredible testimony that we just heard from the sister of the victim, Lynn, talking about what happened on June 10th. And as we know, it was June 11th that DeJuan Ferguson reports to the police that his son was kidnapped and all of this, and he was never seen again. What did you think?
I thought it was heartbreaking. If I thought the FBI's testimony was heartbreaking, this is absolutely just heartbreaking to hear this young lady talk about essentially listening to her brother get killed. She's very credible. I like the fact that when she didn't know something, I don't know. You know, I was a kid. I don't have that time frame. I didn't know. She was very, very credible, and it's. You know, Joy Lim, it's one of those rare occasions where your heart is just rendered with just sadness that this little boy who had no one to help him and just had his little sister trying to change his diapers and trying to clean him up because nobody else would. The story about leaving him in the house all by himself in the dark, the credibility of that story is so compelling because she remembered the hamburgers. We ate these burnt hamburgers. I remember calling the Renaissance the Black Hotel and asking, is my brother home alone? It's just the abuse and the neglect that this little boy faced before he was, ultimately killed is just heartbreaking. And I think her testimony really brought home what it is that the state needed to prove in this case. And I think they've proven their case. And it's going to be absolutely fascinating to hear what the defense tries to do with the cross.
Yeah, no, incredible. And she was like 6 or 7 years old when she was trying to care for her older brother at the time. Honestly, I had trouble not getting emotional during it, but this is what we do here on Court TV, is try to shed some light on the criminal justice process. We're going to continue our coverage. Thank you so much, Vonda Sargent. So keep it right here on Court TV as testimony continues in the trial of DeJuan Ferguson, accused of killing his own special needs son. Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are hearing emotional testimony in the missing son murder trial out of Missouri. Defendant DeJuan Ferguson is accused of murdering his disabled son, Christian Ferguson. The victim's sister is on the stand right now, Lynn Ferguson. She's telling the jury about what she observed when she was just 6 or 7 years old in the weeks around the time that her brother disappeared. Let's take you back into court right where we left off.
So the objection is sustained. You may ask your next question, please.
Thank you. Lynn, let's go back to June 10 into June 11th of 2003, okay? Mm-hmm. You definitely saw Christian live on June 10th of 2003.
Is that a question?
Yes.
What's the question?
You definitely saw Christian alive on June 10th of 2003.
Sorry, it's just worded weirdly. I'm sorry, what was the date?
June 10th of 2003.
Yes.
And before Christian went missing, you were a happy kid.
Definitely not.
No? Okay. So your testimony here today is that you were not a happy kid before Christian went missing?
Yes, that would be my testimony.
After Christian had his coma in 2001, there were home health care workers in the house Monday through Friday.
So it keeps sounding like you're stating something to me. Could you ask that again?
After the coma in 2001, Christian's coma, there were home health care workers in the house Monday through Friday.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay. So your testimony here today is that you don't know if you had home health care workers in the house?
At that specific time period that you're stating, no, I don't know anything about that.
But you lived with Christian, correct?
Yes.
And the home health care workers would give Christian food and medicine.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to speculation at this point. She's already made it clear she doesn't know anything about the nurses. Asking her a series of questions about what they did would then just be speculation.
Yeah, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Dewan would give Christian his food and medicine, correct?
I never saw it that I can recall.
So your testimony here today is that you never saw your father give Christian food and medication.
I don't recall.
You don't recall, okay? When your dad was home from work at night, he would give Christian food and medication.
I don't recall that happening, to my knowledge, no.
So you're saying you did not see your father give Christian food and medication?
No, I rarely
Hold
saw
on a
him.
sec. Hold on, man.
Asked and answered.
Yeah, the objection is sustained. I think the jury has heard the question, heard the responses. Let's move to the next topic, please.
Christian would eat by his mouth, and he also ate by his G button, correct?
I don't recall seeing him being fed, so I couldn't answer that for you.
So, again, your testimony here today is that you did not see Christian get fed?
Yes, my testimony is that I did not see him get fed, be fed, or given medication, and more specifically by Dewan Ferguson.
Okay. And Christian was an active child and would get into things he shouldn't get into, right?
At what point?
At the house with you.
No, I'm saying at what time period? Because, I mean, he was active before the coma, but after that, no, he wasn't.
Okay, so you're saying after the coma, your testimony is he was not an active kid that would get into things?
My testimony is that he was not active after the coma.
Okay. And Christian would sometimes pull his G button out.
I've never seen that.
Okay, so your testimony again here today is that you've never seen Christian pull his G button out.
That is my testimony.
Okay. And your brother Christian had pica, where he would put items in his mouth that weren't food, correct?
He did put things in his mouth that were not food after the coma.
Okay. For example, he would pull off his diapers and eat his diapers.
I do believe so. He also, I do believe so.
Okay. Now, in July of 2018, you went to the police with a new statement, correct?
A new statement.
You went to the police and gave a statement.
I did go to the police.
Okay. And this is a different statement that you've never told anyone else before.
How so?
Well, your statement here today is that your brother was in another room. You heard struggling and moaning and then a whimper, correct?
Yes.
And that's the statement that you told the police in July of 2018.
It sounds to be so.
Okay. And you talked to the police multiple times in 2003, correct?
I don't recall.
So, in June 11th of 2003, you told the police that Dewan came into the room, picked up Christian, put him in a blanket, and took him out to the car.
I don't recall.
You didn't tell them anything about him taking into another room and doing something to him.
I don't recall.
In November of 2003, you talked to a special agent named Liza Ludovico. And you told her that Dewan came into the room, picked up Christian, put him in a blanket, and took him out into the car. You didn't tell her anything about taking him into another room and doing something to him.
I don't even know who that is, so I couldn't say that I recall.
You would agree that those statements are different than the one that you gave the police in July of 2018.
I wouldn't actually. It seems that they're exactly the same, save for additional information that you're claiming was not present in previous statements. So it sounds the same to me.
Now, back in 2018, the police didn't call you to get a statement. It was your idea to go to them.
I'm going to object. Are there questions here?
These are
I'm wondering the
Oh,
same.
hold on a second, hold on. So, Ms. Steele, you seem to be reading from something, and they're not really formed as questions. So why don't you ask the witness questions? So I'll sustain the objection, rephrase your question, and make it a question, okay?
In 2018, the police did not call you to get a statement from them, correct?
I wanted to give them a statement, if that's what you're asking. They didn't ask me to give them a statement.
Okay, so it was your idea to go to them, correct?
Yes.
And you said you did that because something clicked, correct?
When did I say that?
When you talked to the police in July of 2018?
Can I see something that reads that?
Before you went to the police in July of 2018, you told your mom that you were going to go give a statement to the police, correct?
Could you reword the question? And is this, are we leaving the last question about something clicking?
Yes, I moved to another question.
Okay, so can you restate that one?
When you went to the police in July of 2018, you told your mother you were going down to do a statement, correct?
Yes.
Now, in 2004, you were interviewed by a lady named Martha Finnegan for a Children's Advocacy Center interview.
I don't recall.
You don't recall that? Okay.
All right, so that is the cross-examination of Lynn Ferguson, the sister of the victim in the missing son murder trial.